Okay, it's about 12 p.m. noon, June 30th, 2018. I'm here with Amanda. Hello.
Hello.
Amanda is a fellow tour guide, and her mom and dad actually own a house inside Leilani Estates that's in the evacuation area. Several weeks ago, did they get a hold of me?
Yes.
Or did you get a hold of me?
I think it was me first. That's right.
Amanda asked me if I would do a video of their house, and that was when I could go in there comfortably and not worry about things that we have to worry about today. So I was able to do that, and it was amazing. Did you see that video?
I did see that video.
With all the tephra.
Yeah, I have expected more, honestly.
Have you been back since I did that? Have you
My
been there?
parents have. I
yeah,
haven't.
right.
I haven't been there.
Did they say? I mean, the tephra is still there, obviously, and still no damage to the house.
Still no damage to the house. Just more ohia seem to not be making it.
Really? Oh, that stinks.
Yeah, pun intended.
Yeah. Right. Let's see. So they've been back to the house to check on it again, and Amanda was telling me, hey, you guys, knock it off.
My ball.
That they have found a way to gain access easier instead of having to wait like for 2 and 3 weeks through the civil defense.
Yeah, the main civil defense
Yeah.
number wasn't working out.
Yeah, I heard that from a few other people too. So I was at the barricade yesterday, and there were the escort people there, a husband and wife. Was that Bill?
I haven't met Bill.
Okay. Hey. And he told me that you can stop it every day except like the 4th of July, except holidays at 9 o'clock and 1 o'clock, they're at the barricades.
Oh, okay.
So if any residents that are in the evacuation area want to get in, and there's not a big line of cars, all they have to do is show up at the barricade.
Makes it easier.
Yeah.
Way easier.
So that'll be really great if, in fact, that I'm sure that's true.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. How has this whole thing affected you being a tour guide?
Well, I went from working sometimes 50 hours a week to nothing for a month because our tours involved the national park and also Kaimu, which we can't take people down Kalapana, the old ocean entry. We can't take people down there anymore. So
You can't go down there anymore?
not as a tour operator.
Oh, I didn't know
No. No. Unless you're you can't get past the first barricade unless you're a resident. So
that. Oh, yeah, right.
yeah, and my bosses had their house covered by lava there on Pohiki Road, so reevaluating the market at a time when nobody was really coming because they thought that a whole bunch of things were happening that weren't, and the
So
media
stupid.
frenzy and stuff like that. They couldn't really devote any energy to vamping up a whole bunch of tours, getting the marketing going, and reaching out to places in Waikoloa, Kona, getting it all started. But I'm on one tour a week now.
Now, does your company operate tours in Kona on that side of the island?
No, we would, our focus would be the southeast side of the island. So we would pick people up from over there and then bring them to this side, where the bulk of the tour would happen.
And you're starting to do ship tours again.
Yes, the Pride of America.
Okay, that's good. And then, Griffin has a sore foot. And then you'll be doing the other ships as they start coming in too, I assume.
I think that starts in September. I think I saw the first foreign ship coming in September. Yeah.
And Amanda was telling me that she was living inside the evacuation area. When did you evacuate?
I slept at Antinoise. I had just what I needed packed in my truck the night before the eruption started, and those earthquakes were, not the earthquakes, feeling liquid rock beneath me was too much. So I had already packed up my truck, yet I just didn't leave. So I spent the night over at Antinoise. She had to go to work, and then I went back home, more earth moving and liquid beneath me, and I'm like, I have to get out of here. And so I left, and it was the afternoon, and I met my friend at Caleo's, and then the eruption started.
So what date was that? Do you remember? Was it the third?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm shocked what you just said.
Yeah.
Because where we are here at this house, we felt the earthquakes.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't describe it as how you described it.
Liquid rock moving underneath me.
I mean, was it... What? I'm getting goosebumps because really, was it... how do you describe it?
Well, I've lived through a lot of earthquakes, having been in Southern California for 11 years of my life, and two big ones too. And they don't really faze me. It's I have these double mirrored doors for my closet, and so I'd feel the shaking, but then I would just continually see this wave of motion going on them. It was really unsettling.
And was it nonstop? I mean,
it was nonstop for 2 days.
So you could feel the ground vibrating, like just
breathing. Wow. Yeah. And it was completely different in Antinoise.
Okay, so
so
you guys, for you with maps, what was the intersection near Kumakahi and Malama?
Malama, yeah.
And that's near Fissures.
10, 11, and 12.
So it's Pomakai. Isn't that where 10 is? And then Moku?
Yeah.
And then...
off in the forest of Bishop Estates that abuts Malama Street is 11 and 12.
Is that where the pit is?
It does look like a pit. It always had a foreboding look to it out in that forest.
So wait a second. Is Kumakahi, that's what you said, right? Yeah. Is that outside or inside the evacuation area?
Outside of the mandatory evacuation area. Okay. But I'd have to sleep with a gas mask on if I were to live there right now. So.
Wow.
It's pretty bad.
Wow. I really am shocked. Yeah. I mean, here we just felt earthquakes, and it was earthquake. Wow. And then, when did your parents evacuate?
They didn't believe what I was telling them. You know, that they lived in Southern California too, and the day before I was saying, just make sure you have your legal documents in your truck, and pretend like you're going to camp for maybe 2 weeks or something. That way, if in an instant you have to go, then you can. And they were telling me, we've been through so many earthquakes before, and I was telling them, this is a little different. There's liquid rock moving beneath us, and it's trying to find a place to come out. It's like this ghost that you can't even see, but you could feel. And then it started, and they went to the community center with nothing, right? Left their cats behind because they had to leave really quickly. And then they came back that night, and the civil defense, or was it a sheriff, said everything's okay, or that was their interpretation. Everything's okay. So basically they were there, and all of a sudden the sheriff comes back down and says, you need to leave right now. And so they went back to the community center, and I was at work up in the national park for all of those earthquakes, and when things really started to kick into gear on the 4th of May. So my parents were like homeless. I'm up there with a group of 12 people. I'm trying to keep them safe where it's all shaking up there, and trying to make it seem like this protective bubble, like there's chaos going everywhere, but you're fine. It was something.
So that big earthquake, were you given a tour when that happened?
So there was a 5.3, I think, at 10:30 in the morning. See, I know this where I was in the tour because I did this so often. We were going from the Jagger Museum to the steam vents.
Yeah.
and we were in the van, so we didn't feel anything. The second 5.2, I think it was, the very last person in my group was just stepping out of the lava tube. And my coworkers and myself were all communicating on our cell phones, and I'm looking at the earthquake map, and I'm seeing it's just off Helena Poly, the epicenter of that last one. I'm supposed to go to Luamanu, that direction. If you go down Chain of Craters Road and something happens to that road, then you're not coming back up. And I told my group, it doesn't feel right. So I just took them to the visitor center for a while. Then we get back in, we're going to our lunch spot just outside of the national park, and we're right at those toll booths. And the girls in the toll booth are out in the middle of the driveway going like this. And I'm feeling my van, I'm like, is that my tire? Come to find out, that was the 6.9. Yeah.
I was talking to another tour guide who was down Chain of Craters Road on one of those overlooks past Mauna Ulu. And he said he looked back at his van and it looked like it was bouncing around like a bunny.
Can you imagine being in Kilauea Iki?
Oh.
Arnott's Lodge had so many vans full of people.
Oh, that's
there
right.
that day.
Oh, man. Have you talked to any of those guides?
No.
Man.
Haven't been able to.
Oh, man. I was mowing my lawn in the back, and I almost fell off my riding mower.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I'm glad I was in my van. I'm glad that we were in the van. The group was so calm, and there was so much chaos going on around. You know, all of the false information that was being spread, like Hawaiian Acres is being evacuated because of gases. And my other coworker, they were inside of the lava tube when that earthquake hit, the big one, the 6.9. He was freaking out. Yeah, so it was a challenging day.
Did he say anything? Anything fell from the roof or anything?
No, not at that point. No.
So, what did your guests? What did they say? I mean,
They didn't really, because I did a really good job of maintaining my composure. But we have our lunch right outside of the national park in Volcano Village, and the whole time I was trying to act like I wasn't in a hurry, but I wanted out of it. I wanted to get everybody to Hilo.
Well, someone told me that they were on the ship when that happened, and they felt it when they were on the ship.
That's got to be a different feeling.
Yeah. So, you were coming out of the park when the 6.9 hit.
Right at the toll booths,
And
thinking my tire was coming looser.
Were you stopped or driving through slowly?
Driving through slowly.
And you could still feel it?
Yeah.
Wow. So amazing.
It was an amazing day.
Okay,
Yeah.
back to your parents. Do you remember what date they evacuated?
Fully the 4th when I was at work.
Wow.
Yeah, and they didn't really have a place to go. So I had that tugging in my mind, too.
Yeah.
It's like, you have this protective thing about your parents, especially when they get to be not so young. You know, when I showed up to work, I had my coworkers going, "Why are you here?" I guess I'm a good employee. I don't want to call in. So.
Wow. Was he able to get his backhoe out?
No, we still haven't gotten the backhoe out. It needs to, the hydraulics for the crane need to be dealt with. But he's going back in for his truck first, so they could have 2 vehicles. And my friend, who was a mechanic in the military, is going to help him out with that.
Well, be sure to let them know that I'm available if they need help. You know, I have a truck and...
You're awesome. Thank you. Scott's awesome, isn't he? Yeah.
I'll edit that out.
Oh. I'm not supposed to say you're awesome.
I don't like that. So do you have a tour booked this coming Tuesday?
They are trying to keep their more senior guides as of this time, trying to keep a hold of all of us. And they've only been able to book 3 tours. I seem to get priority, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody else was given a chance to have some hours. So, and I can understand.
Well, I don't have one until July 11th.
I don't know if we really know what the numbers are until the day before that. So.
Gotcha. Well, are they still doing the pickup in the Kona side?
No, we've stopped doing the pickup on the Kona side. That whole tour is going to have to be rearranged because of the national park and Kaimu.
Oh, man. So I bet the owners are having a hard time focusing because they lost their house.
Yeah, I would imagine that trauma would do things to make you just kind of freeze for a little bit, even about your business. Yeah, one of them's actually getting much needed operation done, so they wouldn't have been able to really have time for it if this didn't happen. I mean, it's weird how stuff like this actually opens doors for other things. But,
And
are those rocks falling?
no, that's rain.
Okay.
Goliath, would you stop digging, please? So, obviously your parents have a place to stay now.
Yes. Hawaiian Paradise Parks. Kind of
Okay.
close to where I'm caretaking for the time being.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, where you evacuated from, have a lot of your neighbors left?
It doesn't look like anybody's living in the houses that I could tell, but I don't really like to gawk too much. So,
Yeah. I hear you. Have you been down to see the Lava River?
I went down there once with some other residents and a very good friend of mine and shot a couple of photos. I want to say this was like a month ago, although time seems to just be such a warped thing right about now. And yeah, we were told to leave right away, very nicely. You know, we didn't go beyond that barrier. I think it used to be a little bit farther down than what it is now, but
Yeah, it used to be on Moku.
yeah.
Ah, man.
It's hard not to. I mean, it's all a little enchanting, I think, for most people. I didn't want to go hug it or pet it or anything like that, but just to kind of go look at it from a distance.
So, has your tour company said, like, what their plans are if the park doesn't open for 6 months?
No, I don't think they haven't quite gotten there yet. They're trying to wrap their brain around their own losses, and it's understandable.
No.
It's a small family-owned company. It's, you know, their managers are family too, so everybody's kind of just trying to orient themselves, I'd imagine.
Oh, that's a bummer. But Hawaii has so much to offer
It
besides
really
the Volcanoes National Park. Really, I mean, have you ever been to the other section of the park? What are they called?
Kahuku.
Have you been there?
I went there in a different capacity when I was working for the USDA, doing soil vegetation correlation data gathering. So, blah blah blah. Yeah, that's my educational background: is tree hugging, and soil worshiping. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've never been there myself. Is the bird park open? Have you heard?
Kipukapu'ulu isn't open. I wish it were. It's such a beautiful place, but I imagine it gets blasted with an occasional ash layer.
Yeah.
So, very
Wow.
special place.
All right. Well, what else should we talk about?
Yeah, there are a lot of other things to do in Hawaii. That's for sure.
Did you guys ever? Well, on your. Okay, Amanda was telling me that she would pick up tours on the Kona side and drive around the south side. You would go to Punaluu, I suppose.
We would stop at the bakery, but we didn't. Oh, okay. Only for one tour that I didn't do very much. We wouldn't go to the beach.
Oh.
For the most part. The tour that I did most often, straight to Punaluu Bakery, up into the national park for 3 hours.
So you wouldn't? Would you stop at anywhere from hotel pickup to the bakery?
No.
Wow.
And an emergency manuka
Wow.
for the restrooms. Yeah. There just wasn't enough time to do that one. It would be like a 14-hour tour for them, so.
How long was that drive from hotel pickup to the bake shop?
In terms of distance, I'm not sure, but about 2.5 hours.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Would you talk during the whole time?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. a lot about the history because you go by some historic sites, and someone's version of history is,
Would they ask? She drives a 15-passenger van.
yeah,
Would they ask questions?
yes.
That's always helpful, isn't it? Or is it for you?
I could talk and talk and talk. I really can. I try not to do it all the time, and if they want to kind of steer the tour a little bit more, allow them to. But people are usually pretty interested in the history that we were sharing. So.
Well, that's cool. And that's one of the main differences between a person like me and Amanda, because I'm like, hey, look at that, isn't that cool? Oh, go over here, look at that, isn't that cool? I don't really know all the history that you do.
Well, for that kind of drive, you have to do something. After the initial warm-up and everything, where you're kind of establishing a little bit of a bond for the day, yeah, it's information. They liked it. They did like it. What they didn't like is the roads, the wiggly roads in between Milwaukee and Ho'o, kind of.
Where's that?
South End. Before Cotton.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right, is there anything else we need to talk about?
Not that comes to mind.
Well, Amanda is a good friend of Noe's. She visits often. So hopefully we'll be able to talk to Noe in a little bit. A few days maybe, hopefully.
She's fun.
She's a riot. We did she tell you that we went on a ride and I couldn't put the videos on because it was
She said if you're not going to have your face showing, then I'm not going to have my face showing. And it was a bumpy ride.
But she came all dressed up and she was really beautiful.
But didn't want the camera to see it.
Okay, everyone, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you, Amanda.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Aloha.